Many blessings. This is VerDarLuz from Divine Timing Coaching. I'm a locational astrologer and human design life and business coach, and really excited to share this video with you today. It's a really important next couple of weeks astrologically, and you could probably feel it starting to rise. There's some volatility, there's some intensity, and this video will explore what's going on and how it's setting the stage for a pretty intense and potent August and end of summer into the fall, especially around, of course, the political situation in the US, but all around the world, there's a lot of elections happening. And that means there's a big shape-shifting going on in terms of government and control and regulations and things like that. So we are going to explore how that Jupiter and Gemini energy is shifting the landscape for all of us, but especially this weekend and into next week and the week after. There's a lot of karmic energy moving for us in terms of relationships, both personal and professional. And these are very, very significant. So we really want to be very attentive and intentional with how we're moving through our relationships in the next couple of weeks. We don't want to burn any bridges, and we want to get excited about maybe some new energies that are being born. Let me share the screen with you, and you'll see what's going on as I take you through the next couple of weeks astrologically. So here we are on July 11th today, and we're going to be able to move this chart forward every day. But just noticing that here's the sun, here's Venus at this exact trine to Neptune today. We've had this beautiful energy for essentially the last few, let's say 4 days, three days, very romantic, very idealistic, very spiritual, very artistic, very bonding between us and partners, especially in the water element, can be very healing for us. We'll still have that for another day, and we want to make use of that before the big shift that comes with Venus opposite Pluto. So spiritual connections, creative, play and imagination channeling through, feelings of compassion, very dreamy, very mystical. Great time to be in movies and art and dance. But then you'll see that right away Venus is going to, and she's already starting to oppose Pluto as that is happening. So yeah, great trine to Neptune, but then this big shift as she moves across this opposition to Pluto, and you'll see that this will be strong, let's say until the 15th, 16th, but then right away, Mars and Uranus are conjunct. So really, as Venus starts to oppose Pluto, you got Mars and Uranus really, really getting close here. And so this is quite intense. And so the weekend leading in through the next week, and as we move towards our full moon in Capricorn, you're going to see this moon. It's coming right here. It's going to be right there, July 21st. Look at that, 1 degree away from Pluto. So the whole next, 8, 9, 10 days is going to be really filled with some of this Plutonian energy, but also Uranian energy. And what makes this really significant as we amp up the energy towards the full moon is that this Venus-Pluto energy brings up a lot for us in terms of some of the karmic patterns we're working up in relationships, because Venus is the ruler of the South Node, which is in Libra. And Mars is the ruler of the North Node, which is in Aries. And so when you have these really intense configurations with Venus and Mars, there's something karmic going on. So we're clearing out energies with the Venus transit. We're completing cycles. We're realizing through relationships, how we can be in balance or harmony or cooperation or collaboration. This might be around affiliations and networking. It might be around equal give and receive in partnerships. That's going to come up a lot with Venus opposite Pluto. Is sometimes there's intense power struggles. And, maybe I feel like I'm giving too much, or I don't know how to receive, or I want a deeper level of relationship with my partner, or I feel like I want to be around people who are more influential or impactful, and I want to do that myself. And so there's deeply transformative energies here. And one of the best ways of working with this is to practice really conscious shadow work and really be present to what rises. and then do alchemical type of sexuality, tantric type of work, and play with your partner. You get into the archetypes of Venus and Mars in your chart if you know your version of the god and goddess. If not, we can talk about that. That's one of my areas of specialty, working with clients. I love helping clients acknowledge those patterns of God, goddess, and how we see the other in terms of our images of masculine and feminine, which the astrology chart speaks so much to. And see, with Venus opposite Pluto, Pluto reveals the unconscious, and there's going to be unconscious attractive patterns that we might need to tune into. And this could also be about things like our sense of beauty and our aesthetics, like around food, even. Maybe we want to detox a little bit, or we're looking at maybe unhealthy patterns with how we're consuming, especially coming out of Cancer season. Maybe we're eating too much food, period, or maybe eating too much comfort food, or, so we might look at that. But Venus is also moving out of Cancer into Leo. And so we want to bring more play. We want to bring more joy and, joie de vivre, like living life to its fullest and being bold and being generous, right? But we want to be careful that we are balancing out our generosity. And so this energy of Venus Pluto, there can be some, obsessive parts of us or possessive parts of us. And we want to be careful with that as we move into the Mars-Uranus energy pretty much simultaneously, because whatever's happening with Venus and our relationships, it's reflecting maybe some old karmic patterns in us where we might expect too much, or we might be giving ourselves away, if we want to think about it that way. And what does it mean to be sovereign, Aries? What does it mean to be truly independent? Does that mean I have to break away from a relationship, or people being dependent on me, or I'm dependent on them? Maybe this comes into work as well. Am I entrepreneurial enough, or pioneering enough, or doing my own thing that I love and following my bliss, as Joseph Campbell said? That's very Aries. And I'm talking about this Aries because Mars rules the North Node, and here's Mars coming to Uranus. And that's an energy that motivates us to break free, to be original, to find our genius, and to liberate from patterns of constriction. And that's why, if this intense Venus-Pluto thing brings up some kinds of power struggles in relationships, we might say, Mars-Uranus, we're going to rupture this. We're going to break this apart. And this can be very cold energy and very fast, it feels like sudden change. And so the way we want to work with this, one of the best ways, Mars-Uranus, sexual breakthroughs. Mars is passion. Uranus is an innovation or an experimentation. So try something novel in a sexual relationship, or think about a different way of approaching your business, right? And maybe you need to connect with more influential people, Venus, Pluto, and that will help you tap into a different market of people you can connect with and network with. I work with clients using their astrology and human design for business success. And this might be a really great cycle to be looking at that, because Uranus rules the higher mind, Pluto rules, the esoteric. And if we put those together, we have this epiphany possible that can come through these combinations. Yeah, it's really intense, because the unpredictability of Uranus, the accident-prone nature of Uranus, is something we have to be very careful of. And so we want to be careful not moving too fast, being too impulsive, being very reactive. And you're going to see this in the collective. It's potentially like, violent or protest oriented, and people really speaking up and out. And so if you've been silent, this transit doesn't support that much anymore, especially when Venus goes into Leo, Mercury's in Leo. And look at what happens here. We're setting the stage again. We have the full moon coming in, conjunct Pluto. So this is going to bring up a lot about our own power, any cathartic emotional issues that need to be broken through. Great cycle for breath work or ceremonial work, shamanic work. Again, diving deep into the soul, Pluto, the unconscious. And that moon is exactly when Mars then shifts into Gemini. So pretty much as he moves out of that conjunction to Uranus, he moves into the next sign of Gemini. And that means he moves into the seventh house of the US, which is really important because that can bring strife or tension or conflict with other countries. And it can make, I think, what's going on in the US look pretty crazy as well. And it doesn't bode well for sort of confidence, right, in our systems here. And it a time of war or aggression or conflict with other nations. That's something that comes up. But there's so much we can talk about with the US chart, and I'll have some future videos about that. But just to know that once Mars moves into Gemini, as the last 10 days come in here, we're going to get really active about, speaking, messaging, marketing, and you'll want to go back to that big retrograde cycle a couple of years ago. It started in about August, September 2022. It was that 7 months of Mars in Gemini. There's going to be some similar types of energies now before about 2 months. So wherever that Gemini energy is, you have Mars and Jupiter there, tons of energy, and motivation and drive, but also a little bit of friction possible, or confrontation possible with that Mars presence. So there's a lot going on here. And especially if you have energies, early on in, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, there's going to be, a lot going on with Venus squaring or touching one of those planets that you have, and also the sun coming into that opposition with Pluto as it moves into Leo. This is a huge surge towards power for all of us, and I imagine in the political world it will look very intense and very dramatic. There is a desire for us to be more influential and impactful and to do our own transformative work. So this is an important pivot and window that we're moving into, that we work through our shadows, that we work through control issues. We do some really intense self-reflection here, right around that full moon, and go deep into our souls and study our patterns. And I hope this is helpful for you. I hope that you've learned a lot about, what's coming and the best ways of working with it as we move into, the August and the end of this month, and prepare ourselves for a lot of changes, a lot of dynamic energies. We'll have Mercury going retrograde in August as well. So that's going to bring up a lot for us in both Virgo and Leo. So get ready for the ride. And this has been VerDarLuz from Divine Timing Coaching. If I can support you with coaching or readings, please get in contact. All the best. Namaste.